All right, 132 folks. Let's talk about Unit 4. Let's talk about Chapter 21. This is kind of important, and this approaches history not on the national level, but on the international level. Yeah, I know it's a U.S. history course, but you got to understand what's happening in the rest of the world. We don't exist in a vacuum. And what's happening in the rest of the world is going to affect us greatly. Where we have a struggle between Roosevelt and Taft and Wilson over who's going to be president, we know that Wilson wins. Wilson is going to win, and part of it is keeping us out of this struggle that is growing in Europe. And then he is going to start implementing his changes for the United States to try to forward his progressive ideals. The problem is what's happening in the rest of the world is a lot of change, a lot of unsteadiness. Europe has been struggling. It's been struggling with a series of wars. There is a country called Prussia, not Russia, but Prussia. And Prussia is Germanic in origins. Prussia is a small country that barely survived the 30 Years' War, barely survived the struggles of religion and war way back when, and developed an authoritarian attitude and developed the idea that their monarch was absolutist. And so what happened is they developed this very strong government, but they don't stand alone. They started as part of the German Federation. Very much a chunk of the old Holy Roman Empire settled throughout Europe thanks to a couple of folks along the line. But what they are is this. In reaction to what happens in Great Britain is going to undergo the first industrial revolution. They're going to create some fabulous machinery. They're going to create what is steam power. They're going to create a better way to make steel. They're going to industrialize and mechanize and create this fabulous revolution, and then refuse to share. They're not going to share their trade secrets. They're not going to share their ways of industrializing because they want to keep it straight to them, to control the economics, to control the economy. And so what will happen is you're going to have this German Federation of States form what's called the Zollverein. And the Zollverein is a trade union. They're trying to eliminate Europe, not Europe, but Great Britain's grasp on trade and the economy. And what they're going to do is they're going to work together. It's going to be Prussia, it's going to be Bavaria, it's going to be the big brother on this particular block, and the big brother on this particular block is going to be Austria, which will soon be Austria-Hungary, or the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They control a larger block of territory than anybody else, and they have the commanding economy, and so they control the federation of German states, and they are going to kind of be carved and left out of the Zollverein thanks to the prime minister, the man who's, well, at least politically in charge of Prussia, and that is going to be Otto von Bismarck. And Otto von Bismarck is an important guy. What he is going to do is he is going to decide to create a better Prussia, and he has an idea, and the idea is to take and unite the other Germanic states around Prussia, because there's really, in the old Holy Roman Empire, there's 99 different principalities, and what he wants to do is he wants to gather up these other principalities with what's called a pan-Germanic ideal. Folks, pan means all-inclusive. So he's saying, listen, we're all German, we're all alike, we all have the same basic, ideals and beliefs and background. We should form together to form a greater country. What he wants to do is he wants to create Germany out of this several associated Germanic states. Austria-Hungary is definitely against that. They don't want that to happen. There's a few other groups that don't want that to happen too, but he's going to push for it. And so what he's going to do is he is going to have the blessing of the king. He's going to have the blessing of the heir to the throne to go ahead and do some political machinations. And the machinations are this, folks. What he's going to do is develop what's called a blood and iron policy. He's going to make this speech and say, listen, I'm going to create a bigger, a stronger nation and I will do it whether it is a shedding of blood, whether I will do it as a use of, through the use of iron, through the use of might. I will create this new Germany to create a better union. He also brings up something called realpolitik. And realpolitik, folks, if anybody ever wants to talk to you about realpolitik, as soon as they use the phrase realpolitik, my suggestion is turn and run. Run as fast and as far from that person as you possibly can, because the emphasis of realpolitik is this: the ends justify the means. Okay, the ends justify the means. Anytime you start dealing with somebody who says the ends justify the means, you're dealing with a zealot, folks, and zealots are dangerous people, because that means, listen, if it means sacrificing you and it gets their goal in the end, then that's what they're for. Whatever it takes to accomplish whatever it is they want to do, whether it helps you or not, that's what they want to do. And so Bismarck is going to take realpolitik. He's going to take his blood and iron policy. He's going to decide to create Germany out of the many assembled German states. They have an imperialistic attitude. What he says is, listen, we're going to go ahead and create this bigger, better version of things, whether people want to help us or not. So what he will do is he's going to take a picture. He's going to take a book or a page out of Machiavelli's book, The Prince. Machiavelli is the head behind modern political science. He is the father of modern political science. And so what he's going to do is he's going to take a page out of the book, and he will make a series of treaties, a series of alliances with different European nations that surround them to control the flow of power. What he will do is he will unite and create a treaty with Russia, create a treaty with the surrounding states, including Austria-Hungary. He doesn't particularly like, but he will isolate France and then start a war with France in order to gain territory with France. And then he will make peace with France and pick a fight with Austria-Hungary and try to push them out. He will go ahead and use this series of wars to advance his idea of this larger Germany. And so what's going to happen is eventually he's going to create enough wars, to create enough dissension to create this unified Germany. What's important is this: the last stroke of this, and it's kind of political genius, is that he is going to isolate France, create a war with them, and then force France to go ahead and crown the king of this new Germany. And he's going to force them to accept this and force them to crown this new Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany. Not only are they going to be forced to give him the crown and the title of king, but they're going to be forced to do it in the Palace of Versailles, right there in the mirrored palace where Louis XIV sat. And so it's a little bit tough to accept this, but they're going to do this. So you know it starts off on unequal footing. Well, while he's creating this version of Germany, there's a lot of dissension. There's a lot of worry, but what he needs to do is he's going to take and do something different. He's going to take and create a distraction. And the distraction is going to be this. He's going to point out to the several growing industrialist countries that Africa is wide open and that they're competing for sources and resources and land in Africa. It's a bit disorganized, and it's going to result in some fighting. It's going to result in a war. To avoid this, he's going to create what's called the Berlin Conference, and to go ahead and invite several of these foreign states in to discuss about how to properly carve up Africa and the resources of Africa. Keep in mind, we're not inviting Africans. He doesn't invite the African people or tribes representatives. He invites the European representatives. And what they're going to do is divide Africa in an organized way. But while people are scrambling for Africa, while they're looking for the pieces, while they're looking for the resources, he's the smartest guy in the room. He is going to be using this distraction in Africa to create this united Germany. Part of this united Germany is going to be a series of alliances. So I'm going to pick up this series of alliances that are going to break out in World War II in the next one. I'll see you in a minute.